Welcome everybody of the World Wide Web, and welcome to the start of a new week and the start of a new series of videos. So this is the Actor Factor, and as the title will precede itself, it is obviously about Michael J. Fox. So this series is basically, I'm going to compile and give it maybe actor or actresses, basically who I enjoy for one reason or another. Now, all of you watching this video, or everyone out there who are movie fans, sometimes you may appreciate the actor or actress for who they are. You may like them for one specific role, maybe obviously like the DeLorean Marty McFly. You may appreciate him for other roles like Lewis Canning from The Good Wife, or I'm trying to think, or Milo from the Atlantis Disney movies, or Stuart Little, you know, some of his voiceover work. For me, I have been a very big fan of Michael J. Fox since I was quite a young lad. My first, obviously, kind of opening to him was Family Ties, as I watched bits when I was a kid. Obviously I was very, very small when Family Ties come out, so didn't quite grasp the concept of it, and then obviously I saw Back to the Future like a lot of people out there and was absolutely blown away. You know, time travel, the DeLorean, you know, absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, he hasn't had the perfect life of anyone with the Parkinson's disease, obviously diagnosis. But along my lifetime, I wanted to learn more about him, know more about him and watch him in any format here. So basically, yeah, so this is, I will go over all the stuff I have of him. Unfortunately, I've never had the privilege to meet him. I met Christopher Lloyd and did miss out on a chance to meet him, but unfortunately it was just, I say that he wasn't going to be at London Comic Con, and then they announced him, tickets sold out straight away. I think it's like 90 quid to just have a picture with him, which is what I would have liked to have done. The next price up was 450 quid for the whole day. Unfortunately, I had other commitments. I was in the process of buying my first flat, so almost everything I owned was in that. I was quite highly financially strong, and going to this convention was quite a luxury. Like, I just had enough money to go drive and stuff. Obviously I brought my sister and her partner at the time, who's now my brother-in-law. But yeah, so let's get into it. I divulge, but yeah, so this is kind of a appreciation for Michael J. Fox and shows you all the stuff I've got and why I love him. So we'll go for the movies. So first off, Mars Attacks. Obviously, only has he has little roles in it here, there, and everywhere. It's a little bit, obviously, it's a funny film, but yeah, it's quite enjoyable. One of my personal favourites, I think, underrated, Doc Hollywood. So where he's kind of a plastic surgeon and then crashes his car in a little town, and then while they're trying to fix it, he ends up becoming kind of their new doctor. A very small town and stuff like that. And I do, like I say, I'm a very big fan of there's not much technology and stuff like this, and just, you know, it's a little of how he kind of relates to the people there and falls in love. So another one he's not massively in, but this is Class of 1984. So he has a very small part, and this is a bit of a kind of, as the blood would have it, it's kind of a bit of gore and stuff like that. But you know, all of these I have seen. That's why they haven't got the stickers on. Where it goes, obviously, Teen Wolf. Obviously, that's the second one. We'll try it with Jason Bateman, I believe it is. Yeah, Jason Bateman himself, and obviously, but yeah, first one obviously he made before making Back to the Future. Teen Wolf, and I still love it. Obviously, it has the scene at the end with the man zipping up his pants in the credits. It's quite fun. Then we have The Hard Way. So James Woods of Family Guy fame, probably people nowadays, but yeah, this is kind of the buddy comedy type where, you know, they try and work together, and it doesn't always work, and it does work out in the end. Then we have The American President, so he's kind of an aide to the American president, kind of very much in the same sort of role as in Spin City, but this is a little bit more serious. Obviously he is featured a little bit on the back there, a little picture, so we have that one. Bright Lights, Big Sea, bit of Kiefer Sutherland there. Yeah, kind of not many people have probably heard of this or known that, but I really liked it. only ever saw it once, probably I think when I had my flats about 8-10 years ago, so I can't remember all the ins and outs. Then I mentioned about his voice work, so obviously he did the voice of Milo, the main character from Atlantis, and the sequel, his voice work, obviously Homeward Bound, he plays Chance, the kind of pit bully one, the doggy there. So yeah, he does 1 and 2, really good voice with there. Obviously also voiced Milo in the sequel. And obviously Chance also in the sequel to Homeward Bound. Then we've got obviously The Frighteners, quite a bit of a horror type one. Really good from Peter Jackson, early days before he did Lord of the Rings. I really like this. It has a few twists and turns and stuff like this. Yeah, and I say it's a shame that kind of the Parkinsons put a very halt around near to this time of him doing any more films, and obviously, but it is what it is, you know, that is life. Unfortunately, it throws stuff in your way, and you have to just take it on and try and do it. So Life of Mikey, rated not, it was quite panned with the comedians, where he's kind of a talent agent. I quite like, I like all the films he's been in. They'll bring out different characteristics of him. Stuff. I don't think there's anything that's really, really bad that he's been in. So For Love or Money, or what is essentially called The Concierge. So this one I watched recently, again with a wife. Again, he is a concierge and stuff like that, but wanted to start his own kind of business and his own concierge or his own hotel business. And it's kind of the ups and downs of that. Really good to say. It's good that the fact that obviously they started to bring some of the stuff in Blu-ray, so it's a bit better. Blue in the Face, he has a fairly mediocre part in this. I would say this is probably one of the lower ones of his series that I like altogether, but it's still not a bad film. Then we go into cameo bits. So obviously there's a very, very tiny cameo bit in the new Annie. Not a bad film. Right. Obviously did a video about release, obviously Spin City. This is obviously the series where his Parkinson's disease came a bit more prominent. And obviously on a separate note I'll put up here, so there is a film on Apple TV still where you learn more about his life. I would advise, if you are a fan of it, please do go watch. I mean, it has quite a few scenes from this, and you do notice more tics that occurred or were more present that you wouldn't have noticed at the time, but it's just nice for you to get a bit more open up of his life. And then we obviously have classic Back to the Future trilogy. It's the fold out version, I'm sure everyone's seen it. Another trilogy that he was in, good old Stuart Little. I think I got this for like £1 and stuff. I do like these. Hugh Laurie is obviously the dad in it, and Jonathan Lipnicki, I want to say, is the young lad. Yep, Jonathan Lipnicki. So another film that he did that wasn't too bad is Greedy. Is obviously about a family who all these people potentially could inherit their dad's money, and it's how they treat him and how they interact with a very dysfunctional family. But it was all right. I mean, it's, again, I think the critics panned that one. Then we had the last one, so The Story of My Success. Thought this was quite good. It's kind of an up and coming character. Believe it or not, they keep trying to hit on him. It's shown in the background there. And then the last one, which is set in the Korean War, which around about the time he had, I think, Sam, his eldest son, is The Casualties of War. Really, really good film. Depicts quite some hard scenes. That is just goes with the whole war concept, but was really well done. Again, it's another kind of different side of it. I don't know. He always kind of has a little bit of the pure innocence sometimes in him. But these characters that he played were always kind of the good guy. I mean, I would say obviously his Parkinson's disease did take a massive toll, and he didn't come back into acting until the early 2000s. I think when he took the hiatus. The first one was obviously Scrubs. I do have all the Scrubs, but I'm not going to list it here because he's in 2 episodes, and obviously his character has OCD, so they can kind of get away with him. I also have all of The Good Wife, where he plays Lewis Canning, and that was brilliant that he kind of got to work with the tics, but he had a different disorder in that one that they kind of played along with. I believe he was in A Good Fight as well, but I haven't seen that, unfortunately. But yeah, so that is basically everything DVD Blu-ray wise that I have of Michael J. Fox. Now, not only You know, for me, as you see, I like comic, like anime. Most things I read have pictures in them, but I do unfortunately, oh, I do fortunately, obviously he's released 4 books. So this was the very first one. So this is Always Looking Up. Then we had Lucky Man, which was my favourite of his. And then recently, No Time Like the Future, I believe, was released at the end of last year. I have started to read it. There's the mark. Unfortunately, I started to read it when I went away and had a bit of a disastrous journey, so I didn't get to go. Haven't had a chance to finish this. I was hoping to finish this before the video, but that's by the by. So that's everything that I have of Michael J. Fox, and now I'm just going to talk. So yeah, as I say, it's these books. I say I'm not a reading person, but this have been such an insight of it. I'm sure my wife hated me when we watched Steel, because I was, you know, he has had a lot of issues and stuff through obviously the Parkinson's disease. Obviously he had the growth on his spine that he had removed. The latest book tells about like his latest fall in the kitchen when he's recovering from that and then hurts himself. Obviously Still, you learn about that he actually is in so much pain, and obviously the drugs kind of help him control his body. You know, it also deals with like when he first started and woke up and had the tremble in his left little finger. I believe in Lucky Man, he tells about that they got to a point where they could do surgery, and they did surgery and it stopped the twitching of his left hand, and then he goes to the beach at a late day and then the twitching starts happening on this little finger. And it is a little bit heartbreaking of when you hear how much stuff he goes through. And I mean, on top of this, he has created the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's disease and raised over 2 million, which I do, you know, I have given some money to the UK Parkinson's Disease Trust in the past when I've done some fundraising and stuff. So it's a little bit harder when you're in the UK to give to a charity that's based in another country. But, you know, given a chance, I would try to do what I can. I mean, I do hope he helps create a cure disease, hopefully within his lifetime, but you know, you never know, or at least I think it would be a very touching moment if obviously he wasn't with us, but it took 50 years to do it. It's still the fact that if it gets towards a cure, that is his main goal of starting it. And yeah, and say there's just obviously he's raised a lovely wife and 4 kids. Sam, obviously the twins, and Ezra, I think, is the youngest one. But yeah, you don't really get to see them, and that's, I think that's fine. It's nice for them to have their own life when you're a celebrity. There is a lot of stuff involved, but yeah, it's just, you know, the impact he has had on my life. Like, you know, Back to the Future is my favourite trilogy, will always be. I don't care whatever people say, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I grew up on it for one. You know, I relate very much to the character at the time with the kid, and you know, and I was a little bit like him, not in a band, but academia wasn't necessarily my thing. I had a few that, you know, people didn't necessarily think I would amount to much, and I think I've done quite well in my day job. But yeah, it's just to see him, to see somebody who rose to so much fame, you know, and was fortunate enough, you know, to find a lovely woman, to have a lovely family beside that always support him, because I imagine it's very, very hard to go through everything he has been through and able to go back into acting, at least for periods of time, you know. And he's done a lot of charity gigs and met up with Christopher Lloyd and the other cast members. I think they met up last year, him and Christopher Lloyd, and they've done a few other stuff. And yeah, and I hope one day that I do get to meet him. That is, you know, I have all this stuff, and you know, it is all possessions, and you know, if a fire burnt everything down, it wouldn't care. You know, the main thing I would always just like to meet him and tell, you know, the first thing, you know, if I ever met him, I'd like to just say, you know, like, how are you doing, you know, because I think that's the one thing with us as fans. When you meet celebrities, you're a bit gobstrapped, but you're always like, what's your version of this? What's, you know, how are they doing? Are they having a good day? You know, just how, caring about what they feel. And then I'd want to show my leg, because I have a almost or half complete Back to the Future tattoo sleeve leg, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and that was obviously done by one of my friends, so I'd want to give her a bit of promotion for that. But yeah, it's I say that's Michael J. Fox, and that's what this is why it's the Act Factor. And you know, he's number one. He's always, I will watch everything he's in. I'm still trying to get hold of a lot of like the Michael J. Fox TV show and a lot of other stuff, but you know, they don't do versions over here, or it's not compatible and stuff. So it's with physical media, but I still will if I see something that I haven't got, I still will pick it up and I still will watch it. Like with the books, I've read this book 2 or 3 times. Same with Lucky Man, and yeah, apart from comic books, I don't really read many books. I have like a few on my shelf over there, like the Crow unofficial biography is probably the only book that I've read a few times. And if it gets you reading, and that helps with that side of life, because my reading writing isn't always the best at times. Sometimes it's always good, but yeah, it's just good to have a person that you get to see a very real world, realistic perspective of how he is and what he deals with, and to open up his life to you and see that, but then also to have done roles that I hope these memories will last me till my last days on this planet. It will always be with me, and even to see how he kind of has a joke and puts a smile on his face and he goes for it. It's sometimes when we all have bad days, it's good to have someone like that to kind of have that image come through to kind of help you get through those bad days, because we all have good and bad days. But yeah, anyway, this has been episode 1 of the Act Factor, Michael J. Fox. Hopefully you've enjoyed seeing, obviously, my collection of what I have and my views and opinions on it. I shall be back one where, hopefully in a few weeks to a month. I've been Cypher Sigma Screen Time. Hope you enjoyed these videos. I'll see you in the next one.